This video will walk through Lab 1 of configuring network load balancing found in the Microsoft Official Academic course, configuring Windows Server 2012 R2 in preparation for exam 70-412. So here is Lab 1. The first exercise will look at installing the network load balancing. The second, creating an NLB cluster, and then we'll configure the DNS or the domain name server, and then configure cluster properties, manage cluster nodes, removing an NLB cluster, and then upgrading an NLB cluster. Depending on the limits for time, I may try to combine some of these exercises together. If they're relatively short, I'll go ahead and combine them. If not, I'll do individual videos for each of these. This is the first that I'm doing. I did not do a video for the lab setup piece, but hopefully we'll have time to create that video. As a student in my class, you were given the images that were created from the setup file, and we are working from those. So let's get started. I have my 4 images here, my domain controller, server 1, server 2, and storage 1. Now I have these all labeled as CTS 2306 because I'll be using this virtual machine for an additional class and doing videos, so I'm just differentiating them. You do not need to list this in your Hyper-V or as part of your image name. This is more for my use. Alright, I'm going to go over to Virtual Switch Manager and just show you what I have so far. And let me remove this. And then remove this. Okay, so right now we are working with a Contoso internal switch and a Contoso private switch. I'll go ahead and do OK. Alright, this first exercise, we're going to install the network load balancing feature on Windows Server 2012 R2 servers. The company website must be fault tolerant, so you decide to use the network load balancing. And we're going to look at what is required to implement that network load balancing. The approximate time for this is approximately 25 minutes. So we're going to first turn on our domain controller, and we're going to log into server 1. So I'll go ahead and turn on server 1 and then minimize my Hyper-V. And I'm going to pause the video while these boot up. I'm going to go ahead and log in, and then I will resume the video from that once I'm logged in and up and going. Now it is important that you log in as the Contoso/administrator on both the domain controller and the server. And I'm using the password that was provided in the textbook, and we'll be using this password on everything. Now we're on server 1. I'm going to click on other user, and then here we're going to type in Contoso / you'll notice it's sign into now changed to Contoso. Now the domain controller, as soon as this comes up, Okay, you'll notice that my domain controller I already have set up as RWDC01 for the domain contoso.com. See, I have Active Directory already installed, the DNS is already installed, and the DHCP is already installed. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the RWDC01 because we do not need this at this moment. So I'll be working with server 1. So I want to go down on my network adapter here, and I'm going to do right-click under my network status and go into Open Network and Sharing Center. And you'll notice that I have my two adapters. I have Ethernet and I have Ethernet 2. I want to click on Ethernet 2 and go into Properties. And scroll down, go into IPv4 and Properties. And you'll notice that this one is not configured yet. So we're going to go ahead and use the following IP address. Make sure your numlock is on. It should be 192.168.161. Tab down. We're going to do 192.1.50. And I'm going to go ahead and do OK. Actually, no, we don't need to put that in here this time. And then do OK. And then close and close. Now, just to make sure that everything is still correct, I'm going to go into Properties for my first Ethernet switch. This will be my internal switch. Properties 192.168.1.60, and it is seeing the preferred DNS of 1.50. So far we are okay. Okay, now we want to go ahead and open up server 2. You'll see that I have Hyper-V installed on this machine. Let's go and open up server 2. And again, I'm going to pause until this comes up. Okay, and again, we're going to go into Other User, contoso/administrator, and then the password. I'll pause until the server manager comes up. Okay, so server 2 has been booted up, and you'll see that I currently have local server is red. So I'm going to pull up my domain controller for just a second. Just want to make sure that that IP address hasn't changed. There's been times that I'm doing some of these labs and the IP address changes on me. So this is the RWDC01. I'm just going into the adapter settings. And here is the contoso.com. And then Properties. And then Properties. 192.168.1.50. That's correct. Okay, here I have the 1.50, and I also have 100.55. So I'll go ahead and do OK, OK, close, 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 close. Alright, so let's minimize this, and we're going to take a look at this adapter. So right-click, Open Network and Sharing. And now this one only has the one Ethernet. This one only has 70. although it should have two. Properties, properties 70.50, close, close. See what the errors are. Okay, I have to add the private switch to this, so I'm going to turn this machine off. Go back into the Hyper-V, go into Settings, and I want to add hardware. As soon as this turns off, I should be able to add the hardware. Okay, I'm going to close this. Settings, do network adapter, add. So currently I only have the internal switch. I need to go ahead and add the private switch. And then click on OK. And I'll go ahead and turn the server 2 back on. And pause while this boots up. Okay, now we're going to go back to the Open Network and Sharing Center. You'll notice the local server is back to green again. And then we're going to change, nope, we're not. We're going to go to Ethernet 3, Properties, IPv4. Oh, and it does say in the textbook to go into Ethernet 2 properties, but it ends up being 3, and that's completely fine. Okay, 192.168.171 tab, and then OK, close, close, close. Now we're going to go back to server 1, so I'm going to minimize server 2. Go to server 1, manage, add roles and features, next, 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 and we're going to add a feature. This one isn't a role. So we want to go to network load balancing. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit to network load balancing and check that off. Click on add features, and then next, and then install. And then using the same procedure, I'm going to flip over to server 2, manage, Add rules and features. Next, next. And next. Next to go to features and scroll down and do network load balancing. Add features. Next, and then install. And this concludes exercise 1.1. I'm going to go ahead and jump to, now I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and then I'm going to do a new video for exercise 1.2, which is creating an NLB cluster.